So excuse me, there, I almost got something in my throat. But anyway, I was browsing through Twitter/X.com, and I came upon something from good old JR Jim Ross, courtesy of his, Twitter account, and something that was taken from his Grilling with JR podcast. And he, being a legendary Hall of Fame announcer for WWE and currently AEW, JR basically gave his, thoughts on what the next step is for the WWE Hall of Fame. And I looked at that, and I have to go back and listen to it, but I think what he's going to mention, or I think what he did mention, is they need to find a physical building now. Because when you think about it, this is a question a lot of fans, and even those within the business, have been wondering, been wondering if they would ever get an answer to. And, even asking, when is WWE going to get a physical place for fans to go and visit? I mean, you look at what they're doing with, you take a look at what they're doing with the A&E show, Most Wanted Treasures, where they're retrieving certain items from, the past, from, legendary Hall of Fame superstars and such. You see they're doing that. And you've noticed that year after year after year since the Hall of Fame returned back in 2004, 20 years ago, that they've been building the Hall of Fame class, bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger each year. And this even includes the Hall of Fame classes from 93, with Andre being the first and only inductee there, to I'm assuming the Hall of Fame class in 94, 95, and 96. And then, of course, they put it on hiatus until, 8 years later? 8 years later, and then they brought it back. But however, with all that said, people, and even those working within WWE, are looking at, hey, every year the Hall of Fame class has new inductees. The Hall of Fame class gets bigger. You have new wings and sections to the Hall of Fame added, but yet you don't have a physical place to really showcase it all. To really, I guess you could say, here for you fans to come and visit in such and such location is the actual Hall of Fame for WWE. And the question, obviously, why? Why haven't we seen one get physically built yet? I mean, we've heard rumors, we've heard speculation, we've heard reports here and there from very reliable places like, Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp and others, but yet nothing has come, as of late, of an actual Hall of Fame coming into physical Hall of Fame coming into existence. Now, obviously, the question would be, well, if they do make it happen, where would it be? And it seems that right now WWE is creating something in the Middle East, in Riyadh, if you will, in Saudi Arabia or somewhere in that section. That's going to be like, I guess you could say, a theme park or a museum or whatever. But one would think that they wouldn't, choose Riyadh to, or whatever the section is in Saudi Arabia, to put the Hall of Fame in, would they? I mean, that would be crazy if they did. And I guarantee you, not a lot of fans or even wrestlers and Hall of Famers, current wrestlers, even those on the roster, would be too fond about it. So the question is, outside of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where could they put the Hall of Fame? One that everybody could agree upon would be a suitable place. Well, they look at the fact that they have the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. That could be expanded on, and the expansion could become the Hall of Fame area. Some look at their the warehouse that they have, where a lot of these treasures are taken back to, or a lot of these things are introduced to the fans when certain Hall of Fame superstars like Lita or Triple H or somebody goes there and kind of gives a tour and kind of talks to the people running the place. Some might say, well, why not, why not renovate the warehouse into Hall of Fame? And these are all good ideas. But I think what WWE wants is a separate area, a separate building, somewhere somewhere where people go and visit the most. Basically they want to have a physical Hall of Fame in one of the most attractive tourist areas in the country, if not the world. But if it comes to the U.S., again, it's basically one of the more attractive tourist areas in the country. But where could that be? Well, one could say here in California, you have Hollywood and Los Angeles, Inglewood, and there's plenty of land there where they could choose one area or buy out an area, building, whatever, renovate it, and boom, you could have your Hall of Fame. And honestly, having a physical Hall of Fame, in Southern California, in a place where you have all these other attractions like Disneyland, Universal, you name it, Knott's Berry Farm, you have Hollywood itself, Beverly Hills. Having a physical Hall of Fame out here would be a big boom for business all the way around. It would be. But what other places could they, put a physical Hall of Fame at? Well, you could go and, go to Florida, like I mentioned earlier, and maybe do Orlando, but not at the PC. Maybe find an area that's in the tourist trap area where you have all the theme parks, kind of located, like Walt Disney World, Universal, the soon-to-be debuting Epic Universe, and so on. You can find an area there, and boom, you could create a Hall of Fame, a physical Hall of Fame in that area, and that could work. And again, it'd be a boost to the tourist area along with those theme parks. But where else could they do it? Well, you can go to Texas. Well, what area in Texas could you think of? Well, I know one person I watch and listen to here on YouTube, just Alex Hicks, I should say, would love to have the Hall of Fame in Houston. But I think, honestly, the most logical place would be Dallas. It would be Dallas, Texas. And I could see them probably doing it and building it in the vicinity of the old Sportatorium. Now, I don't know if something's there. I don't think anything's been built there yet. But if something is being built there, but the other part of the land is still up, for sale, I can see WWE putting a Hall of Fame there. I could see it, because Dallas is a big area. It's a tourist attraction, so I can see it. I mean, they have a lot of selections, in these areas that I mentioned and many others, that they could do a Hall of Fame. They could do one in Las Vegas. They're having WrestleMania next year in Las Vegas. You got all these buildings, hotels shutting down, getting ready to be demolished to make room for the new Oakland Athletic Stadium or Las Vegas Athletic Stadium. As well as you probably have additional land that's going to open up. Hey, Las Vegas, there you go. That's a place they could do one. Again, these are just my thoughts, my suggestions as to where they could build a physical Hall of Fame. I mean, because you can't tell me that those within WWE, like Triple H, like Nick Khan, and even the new owner, Ari Emanuel, you can't tell me that they don't see that Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame up in New York, and even though as small as it might be, are envious. You can't tell me they don't see that Wrestling Hall of Fame in Waterloo, Iowa, which I know about because I've watched OTR Central for so long. You can't tell me they look at a place like that, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, in upper state New York, and other Wrestling Hall of Fames, big or small, across the country. You can't tell me they don't look at that with envy and say, yeah, that's great that they have the Hall of Fame, but we're WWE. We're the be-all, end-all when it comes to pro wrestling. We should be the one that has a Hall of Fame, and we should have a big, massive Hall of Fame, for people to come and visit. But the question is, what's holding them back? Is it money? Because that shouldn't be an issue. What else could it be? Well, my honest opinion, and this might be an unpopular opinion, and people might think, oh, that's stupid to even think about it that way. But I believe one of the reasons they haven't gotten a physical Hall of Fame yet is even though they're looking around at certain locales across the country, including those I've mentioned, it's mainly, I think, because those people they might do business with may not want to sell to them because they don't want to have their land that they're putting up for sale, putting up for lease or whatever. They don't want to have it, just before I'm trying to say, Wrestling Hall of Fame based on something that they might consider, is not, like it's big business, but it's nonsensical. It's not real. I mean, you have a lot of people that are like that still. Like they can see how hot professional wrestling is being right now between companies like WWE and AEW. But, they could honestly have the thought of, yeah, you make big business, big money and everything, but would anybody really want to travel this far just to see your Hall of Fame with 50 plus years of material in it? Would they want to really do that? Some realtors may say no. They may say, yeah, the money's good and everything, you're matching the price, but you know what? I don't think you having a Hall of Fame located here is going to work. Business is not going to boom. People, like I said, people who think like that. The realtors, the people, selling the land or the building could, have that kind of a mindset. And I think that's what's holding WWE back. It's not the fact that they can't buy the land or buy the building outright. They can. It's basically, in my opinion, some of the realtors probably going back and forth with them and probably saying, yeah, you could have the land, you could have the building, but honestly, I don't think you'd be able to attract business. And maybe what they do is maybe they raise the price, or maybe they come up and say, and somebody else is also giving us a bigger bid as well. So if you can't come up with the money at such and such time, that goes to them. There are people like that. Now, again, you might think that's kind of ridiculous, but, it's reality. It is reality. Now, the other reason I think, that we haven't seen a physical Hall of Fame get made just yet is the fact that perhaps, when discussing it, some people within WWE and now within TKO, they're probably like, well, if we create a physical Hall of Fame, that's great and everything, but then we're going to get some of the, then we might, what I'm trying to say is they might have someone say, yeah, we do this physical Hall of Fame, but now we also have to do one for the UFC, because remember, TKO also owns UFC. So they say, well, we'll do it for the WWE, we got to do it for the UFC. And then they might say, well, if we're doing it for them, then we're going to have our partners say, well, why don't you help out these other companies create a Hall of Fame, physical Hall of Fame for their, for their talent and everything. It could be that reason too. Like if WWE is going to do it, then everybody else should be able to do it. That might be something as well. That might be something as well that holds them back. But whatever the situation is, though, I will admit our physical Hall of Fame should have been, up and running by now. There is no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. Now, there is another way they could get a Hall of Fame. Earlier, I mentioned the fact that you have some theme parks, up and running in Southern California and in Florida. Now, in Southern California, the one I think would work out the most for them is Universal. They could rent out, a lot, or lease out one lot, on the property of Universal, and they can renovate that and build that into an actual WWE Hall of Fame. And in partnership with Universal, they could have people, pay tickets to go and ride the rides, attend the attractions, and maybe even visit a Hall of Fame, and Universal and WWE/TKO could share the profits, that come from the ticket sales and whatever packages that include a tour or visitation to the WWE Hall of Fame. They could do that. And speaking of Universal, if Universal in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, California isn't the forte. I'm trying to find the right word to say. Isn't the forte? Then maybe the new Epic Universe. I mean, we've all seen the plans for the Epic Universe and how big and massive it's going to be. You can't tell me they're not going to want to add on throughout the years, like Disney has throughout their numerous parks, because they will. And I could see them, making a deal to bring a physical Hall of Fame for WWE to Epic Universe. I mean, think about this. You're going into Epic Universe. You got your ticket. You got your ticket. Or you've paid for your package or whatever it is you're gonna spend money to attend the theme park with, or to get into the theme park. Imagine you're going there. You're going to Super Nintendo World. You're going to Harry Potter. You're going here. You're going there, and then there's the WWE Hall of Fame. The physical version right in front of you. To me, again, that would be big business for both WWE/TKO and Universal. So they have options to get a physical Hall of Fame even within certain theme parks like the Universal ones. But the question is, will they actually make it happen? And in my honest opinion, I think they will. I mean, heck, they have a new corporate office in Stamford, Connecticut. They can expand on that and make part of that into the physical Hall of Fame, to where people can visit the actual Hall of Fame at the actual new WWE headquarters, and then, just go throughout certain sections of the building, probably 2 stories, if you will, and then that's it. I mean, there's a lot of places that actually do that, believe it or not. There are actually a lot of business buildings where the lower half is, something like a museum and everything for people to visit, where the upper half is all businesses and corporations and stuff. So they could do that too. So to me, they have many options. Leasing and buying a building, or leasing and buying land to have one built upon, in the various areas I've mentioned. Making a partnership deal with the likes of Universal at the Universal theme park in Hollywood, California, or the new Epic Universe in Orlando. They got those options, and they got the option to build it within their own corporate office, their own new corporate building. They have their options. But the question is, will they ever make it? And I think, yes, they will. They're just waiting for the right time. They're just waiting for the right time to make the announcement that they will create a physical Hall of Fame. Now, again, the only downside to that is if they decide, hey, we're going to put the Hall of Fame as part of our WWE thing in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, that's not going to sit well with people, with all due respect. So I think what's going to happen, in my opinion, is we're going to probably see them make a deal to either they're going to lease some land or buy a building in some of the areas I've mentioned here in the United States, or what they're going to do is make a partnership with the Universal theme parks, either in California or Florida with the new Epic Universe, or they're going to probably build it within their own headquarters. But yes, I do believe it's going to happen. Just a matter of the announcement, just a matter of when they announce it happening, and when it's happening, when it's going to be built, I should say, and also when it opens. Because I guarantee you, when it does, they're going to have a flood worth of fans. They're going to have a flood worth of fans filing in to tour that museum, to tour that Hall of Fame. And I can tell you, even though you get the WWE experience, at places like, during like WrestleMania weekend and such, That's only like once a year, maybe twice if you count SummerSlam. But it's not every day. It's only like once or twice a year. But to go to one that's open almost every day or every other day, that blows those WWE experiences that you go to during WrestleMania weekend and SummerSlam weekend right out of the water. It does. But I believe it will happen. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Do you think it will happen? And where do you think it will happen? How do you think it will happen? And if it does, when do you think it might open? Let me know in the comments as well in the live chat during the premiere. By the way, in the title, you may have noticed it says Super Chats are opened. Hopefully you've donated if you could. And Super Thanks are open as well during the premiere and afterwards. But give me your thoughts on it. Let me know down below in the comments as well as in the live chat as well. Love to hear from each and every one of you. And until then, I am out.